Hello, this is Dan Farisi, Editor-in-Chief with Commercial Integrator here at the HDBaseT Alliance booth at Infocomm 2023. I'm happy to be joined by a panel of people I truly respect, real leaders in the commercial AV industry. I'm delighted to be joined by Alexis Lebroy of Midpoint Technology Group, Frank Patakala of the Avixa Diversity Council, as well as Audinate, and of course Effie Gorin-Goldstein of the HDBaseT Alliance. I should mention, not only, Frank, are you on the Avixa Diversity Council, you're the chair, and I should mention with you, Effie, that you're the newly minted president of the HDBaseT Alliance. I want to talk about the idea that a lot of us do worry about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the industry, trying to make this a safer community, a better community, a more equitable community, a community that reflects best practices of representation. But I do feel like we are making progress. I love to see leadership, people like you and people like Alexis, people like Frank, being recognized as industry thought leaders. What are your thoughts about striking the balance between optimism and feeling good about the progress we've made, while at the same time not settling for the progress we've made, because there's still so much more to do?
Okay, I guess I'll start. um, I think that there is every reason to be optimistic and that we should be optimistic, but just because we have come so far does not mean that there still isn't room to grow and room to go. And so I think that we just need to always be aware of that, always be thinking, like they say, always be learning, always, always be closing. Always try to do better as far as diversity and equity issues are concerned, and never rest that, oh, okay, now we're here, you know.
Of course, there's a job to be done, so the work just starts now, actually. But yes, for sure, optimism. And I'd like to also, talk about what it means to the younger generation. I think together with the fact that in every aspect of our lives, inclusion and diversity is becoming, de facto, standard of good practice. Then, I think that the younger generation, even in the AV industry, like I have a niece in a AV school group, so it's really fun to see that for that generation, it's obvious.
Yeah, I'm always going to be the one that says there's absolutely nothing negative as far as it comes to diversity, because diversity is a positive, optimistic conversation. Because at its core, diversity is human. We're not differentiating anything. It's just who we are. We are diverse. Every individual is different. What we do as a diversity mission is make sure that those differences are both seen and accepted. So I think it's always going to trend upwards no matter what anyone says. And I think I'm very proud of the changes that our industry is making in general at making sure that the voices of diverse nature are heard and accepted and recognized. So all in for it, and I'm very positive about where we're headed.
So thinking about the changes that we're seeing, the changes we want to see, I want to frame things in terms of raising consciousness. I think there are a lot of people in this industry who have good intentions, but everyone included, who need to continually have their consciousness raised, become more aware of people's spaces, people's thoughts, recognizing privilege, etc. Whether it's making sure that if you're putting together panels, you have diverse panels, diversity of thought, diversity of backgrounds. What is your thought about how this industry can foster a continual raising of consciousness and a commitment to making sure that you're not settling into just wanting to be an ally, but really being an ally that's committed to making a difference?
I think I'll start off because in my position as the chair of the Avixa Diversity Council, I am privileged to facilitate a lot of those conversations and make sure those diverse voices are seen. One of the things that I make sure that everyone hears is that we need to be intentional about our practices. It's making sure that we're not just trying to have a diverse panel, it's making sure that the panel is diverse. Because the fact of the matter is there is a lot of amazing voices out there, and sometimes the reason why we fall back on the traditional path is it's easy, and shifting the paradigm or changing your thought process involves work. And the fact of the matter is, when we do that work, when an organization or an individual puts in the work, we're not just doing it for us, we're doing it for the future generations. We're doing it for the older generations who've always, because I've had a lot of people who have been in the industry for 25 years come back and say, I have never seen a person like myself represented on that panel. And that, to me, is a successful panel. So it's about being intentional.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you talked about the generations, and I think it's, as I mentioned, I think with the younger generations it's easier, but again, with the older generations, I feel they are embracing it, and I mean we're testament to that, right?
One of the things that I always say is, if you can see me, you can be me. If you know, I do things because I'm very passionate about the workforce development and bringing new people, young people into our industry. But if they feel like the industry is not for them because they don't hear our voices or they don't see us, or recognize that we are trying to make strides to make things easier for people who come behind us, then we'll never get to those goals that we want to be. Yeah.
I think I would like to add, you really hit a point there with passionate. I think the passion is indeed the most, let's say, catchy or a sticky quality to anything we do, right? And especially for this as well.
And all of us, I know, want this industry to be as strong as it possibly can be, to last far into the future, to present wonderful career opportunities to our children and our grandchildren. Do you want to close with just some thoughts about how, if we do bring about this equitable, diverse, representative future, it is going to be a better and stronger industry? Why are boardrooms better and more effective when there's diversity in the boardroom? Why are courts better when there's diversity in the courtroom? Why, when you bring together people with different backgrounds and different lived experiences and different thought processes and different socioeconomic backgrounds, why does that result in a better outcome for our industry and everywhere else?
All right, I'll go. I think the key point there is that diversity is about learning. And if we were to take out the term diversity, I think learning equally applies there. We're learning about people, we're learning to accept them, we're learning about their culture, race, their gender, their differences, and we're accepting it. And I think when that becomes not just something that we're adding on to our business processes, it needs to get to the point where it's natural, where it is not something foreign, it is not something that we have to create. Today, yes, we do have to put in the effort. Sometimes being intentional is the only way we can foster that kind of a future. But once it gets to the point, I think our industry has the potential to be accepting for so many different things, because at its core, there is a commonality. We are all in this industry because AV brings us together. So that is a big thing that a huge stumbling block that we've already accomplished. Like, we don't have to worry about our commonality. We can have two people who are completely different still talk about an AV conversation. So there is a commonality there. I think we leverage that and double down on that and make sure that at its core, we are AV people, and just build on that. That's right.
I would say that it's a proven fact that diversity of thought, differing opinions, when you bring different people who don't all look like the typical CEO of a company, or a board of directors for an organization, a company, when you bring different opinions in, it increases productivity, it increases efficiency, it increases the bottom line for those organizations. And I mean, just look around you. This is all about making money and finding great customers, right?
Yes.
So the more that we do that, the more those companies will be able to increase their productivity, to increase their bottom line. And it's not just, it's a fact. I mean, there's research about it. So the more that we think about this in hiring, the more that we think about, making sure that the panel represents multiple people in a conversation, the more that we think about what we want the workforce to look like in the future, the better outcomes that there will be for each one of those organizations.
Yep. Indeed. I mean, different point of views, making it a whole, complete, story, then the more the better.
There's still, of course, so much work to do, but hearing all of you recognized as industry leaders articulately and passionately expounding on these issues, it makes me feel hopeful because I know you're the vanguard trying to bring us to this better future. We're making strides every day, every Infocomm, every Commercial Integrator Expo, we're making strides, and I'm excited, I'm bullish about where we're going. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Effie, for joining us and painting a vision for what we can be, what we should be, and what one day I hope we will be.
Thank you.
My name is Dan Farisi, Editor-in-Chief with Commercial Integrator here at the HDBaseT booth at Infocomm 2023, talking to amazing AV industry thought leaders like Alexis, Frank, and Effie about critical issues like DEI. Thank you so much for joining us.